In the opening scene of The Nun 2, we get to see the demon Valak is murdering a priest by burning him into fire in front of a kid named Jax, and at the same time a man was standing near the church, whose shadow was looking like the Valak, meaning he was already possessed. The scene shifts from here, and we get to see Sister Irene, who was now living peacefully in an abbey with the other nuns. She was really close with her friend, Sister Deborah, who was not really a religious person, but for her family's pressure, she had to become a nun. They share their childhood stories with each other, where Sister Irene says, her mother was really a religious person, who could even talk to gods, but one day her father claims that she was a mentally ill person, and some doctors took her away. From that moment, Irene didn't get to see her mother for even once. On the next day, Bishop Thorne visits the abbey in search of Sister Irene, and says to her that Valak is off the leash, killing more priests and nuns. That's why the church needs Sister Irene's help again. After listening to these news, Sister Irene gets prepared to go to France, where the priest was killed by burning alive, and on this journey, Sister Deborah also sneaks in to help her friend Irene. On the other side, we get to see Franchi, who was now working at a girls' boarding school as a plumber, and his relation with the school teacher Mrs. Kate and her daughter Sophie was really good. Sophie was a really good girl, who sometimes gets bullied by the other girls. And one day they locked Sophie in the school's closed chapel to prank her. Once the sun changed its direction, Sophie gets to see a goat painting on the chapel's window, whose eyes was getting red by the sun rays, and that's the moment she remembered. Her friend says that the red goat eyes are the devil's eyes. Sophie gets so scared by looking at the red eyes, and on that moment she also gets to see a glimpse of the Valak, but at the right time, Franchi comes to the chapel and saves her. When Franchi asks Mrs. Kate about the chapel, she says that the child of the school owner died there during bomb attacks, and after that incident, the school owner has restricted the chapel permanently. After a long journey, Sister Irene and Deborah gets to the church where the priest was killed, and during the investigation, Sister Irene sees a vision of the boy named Jax, who hands over the rosary of the priest to Sister Irene. After this vision, Sister Irene gets to know that a guy named Morris has worked here during the time of the murder, and by listening to the description of Morris, Sister Irene confirms, Morris is none other than her old friend Franchi, who is now possessed by the Valak. Later that night, Sister Irene meets with the boy named Jax, but he runs away with his friends, because he was playing. Sister Irene starts to chase after Jax, but loses her way and gets to a dark alleyway where the Valak attacks her by appearing from the bookstall. At that moment, Sister Irene sees a vision, where a little girl with bright shiny eyes hands over a relic to Sister Irene, and once the vision ends, Sister Deborah finds her senseless friend in the alleyway. After her senses return, Sister Deborah gives her the rosary of the priest, which was given by Jax when Irene wasn't conscious. And Sister Irene finds a matching symbol in the rosary which she had seen in the photos of the previous victims of Valak, meaning the Valak is killing the priests and nuns in a pattern. Realizing this, Sister Irene and Deborah visits to the church archives, where they get to know that this symbol represents the successors of Saint Lucy, who was like a god for the blind people. Once the pagans captured Saint Lucy and tried to kill her by burning her on fire, but Saint Lucy was unscratched by the fire. That's why they peeled out her eyes, which was after protected by her successors. But now, Valak wants the eyes of Saint Lucy, because he wants to become a demon, who also has the powers of the angels. The librarian says to Sister Irene that if she could get the relic before Valak does, she can use it against Valak, but Sister Irene don't have a clue where the relic is. To solve this problem, the librarian says, the relic's last known location was in a monastery of France, which was later bought by a wine company, and now the monastery has become a girls' boarding school where Franchi now works as a plumber. After knowing this, Sister Irene and Deborah storms to the boarding school, where Franchi was completely possessed by Valak, and was attacking on Mrs. Kate and Sophie. But somehow Sister Irene and Deborah makes him stop and capture him in chains. After this, Sister Irene finds out that the chapel's red goat eye is the pointer to the relic, and the moment they dug out the relic, Franchi comes to the chapel and starts attacking everyone. When Sophie runs away with the relic and hides in the bell tower, possessed Franchi somehow finds her, but when he comes closer to the relic, it starts to glow and the whole bell tower gets collapsed. Sister Irene and Deborah quickly comes to the bell tower where Sophie was completely safe, and the moment Franchi comes to attack them again, Sister Irene uses the relic against Valak, which causes too much damage to Franchi and he dies. In grief, Sister Irene comes closer to Franchi, but suddenly he wakes up and snatches away the relic from Irene, which helps Valak to get the eyes of Saint Lucy. Now, Valak has the power of both angels and demons, and he starts using it against Sister Irene. He makes Sister Irene levitate in the air, and starts to burn her alive, but surprisingly the fire doesn't even scratches her, because she is the daughter of Saint Lucy. Valak and possessed Francie traps Sister Irene and Deborah in a corner, but when they starts to praying to God, the wine seller's red wine comes flooding to Valak, which was now acting like Christ blood for Valak. After the demon has exorcised, Sister Irene and Deborah makes Francie to come to his senses, and in the end, after thanking Irene, Francie goes to live with Mrs. Kate and Sophie as a family. But even now, Sister Irene was noticing something is wrong with Francie, which means the demon isn't completely gone, and with this, the movie ends. This was the whole story of The Nun 2. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.